All right, guys, welcome back to the Raised Hunting Podcast. And today I am joined by two very special guests. And if you think that you guys like the jacking and prodding at one another, you're probably going to get some of that today because these two are in rare form off camera. So I can only imagine what it will be like on camera. But we got some cool stuff. But before I announce what we're going to talk about, we got some people we need to shout out to. Is that correct? Because I think our turkey podcast last week struck a nerve because we had tons and tons of people commenting.
I don't think it struck a nerve. I thought we had a lot of good.
No, that's what I'm saying.
Oh, yeah.
I just meant you guys responded very well.
He's in rare form.
Yeah, he's always in rare form. He's in weird form.
What does that even mean? What is rare form?
You want me to pass gas form again?
No, we don't.
Huh?
This is an enclosed space.
There's rare form.
So
that is not rare.
It is. No one else has anything like
nasty.
it.
Oh, that is rare. I was saying the rareness of how much he farts.
Did you know it moves at
That
7
is not
miles
rare.
an hour?
7?
Yep. Dad's is probably more, but that's
apparently
what they go at. Yeah.
Like the air coming out is 7 miles an hour?
Well, hopefully you're hoping there's no weight to them. Otherwise, it'd probably be a little faster.
That was a great one.
It's BS that you are gatekeeping the buttons.
I bought them.
So, okay, so first shout out, Brandon Ward 1, you're the man. He said, I used to watch you guys on TV as a kid, and I recently came upon the podcast, and now I listen to everything you have with turkey in the title. So now we're going to start putting turkey in the title of everything.
That's right.
We're going to have how to hunt deer, and then in parentheses,
Turkeys.
And you're stuck, Brandon. A Doogie 13. It's probably A Dougie 13, but I just thought Doogie was funnier. Informative and fun. You all are so fun to listen to. So many good lessons and tips on how to be a better hunter while being fun and entertaining. Can't wait to listen to the off-season videos. A Dougie 13, you the man. New Age Conservative. He said, growing up, turkey hunting is one of the things junior hunters get to start with in New York. When I was younger, I remember every spring and fall there would be an abundance of toms around, and every spring there would be a good bunch of hens with a whole group of hatchlings in the yard. Recently, I haven't seen any. Scary. That's kind of what we're talking about. Bold T 50. Awesome podcast. Love the podcast. Make me want to get back into deer hunting. Quit years ago due to do just waterfowl. I think the fact that we got a waterfowl dude listening to our deer hunting podcast is pretty awesome. So you definitely want to get back into deer hunting there, buddy.
You'll have a lot more fun, I promise.
I need you to hit.
You can't say that.
The
yeah, there.
Turn them off.
Everybody asked me to do this at you.
They didn't ask you to do that.
Yes, they did.
No, they did not.
Yes, they did.
Read it out loud.
Don't worry, YouTube guys. We've got you. It's Bucky Doe Downer. Warren, help your little bro out.
Well, does anybody know what
Bucky
I did say on that?
Doe Downer. And then Jeremy Rupsick answered that and said, I agree. Warren needs to help him out. He can't even say my name right. And I've said it I don't know how many times. And then, that's not it. We're not done. Jake Dully, I've been watching them stumble over my name for a few weeks now. He meant Easton. It's pretty simple, but you'd never guess it. It's Dully.
Yeah, we have video
Jake
proof
Dully.
that you have missaid his name.
All right, but Rupsick, now he's on the burner because he said that I've been saying for weeks I was going to do a giveaway and I needed to get on with it. Well, I'm getting on with it, all right? And so what we are going to do, everybody that I just read all of those reviews, you are already in. I have in my hand something very, very special. And if you're not watching this, you are just going to have to listen. Is what I am showing everybody is the first ever lighted nocks from Raised Hunting. Yeah, we are launching our very own lighted nocks. And these have, other than the ones that we've been shooting to test them, somebody is going to win the first package ever. They're not on our website. They're nowhere. And you're going to get to have the first lighted nocks from Raised Hunting in existence. In my opinion,
it's pretty cool.
That's pretty cool.
You just don't open them.
Yeah, you want to frame them.
You got to keep them mint.
They're kind of already framed. So you're going to want to make sure you have those reviews in, and so that you get the opportunity to win the first ever Raised nocks. And we will let the rest of you know when they are ready and up on the website.
So, as always, nice work to you guys on YouTube, on
much appreciated,
Spotify, and on Apple for doing the reviews and And then just all the comments on the turkey deal was pretty impressive.
Yeah, it's definitely seems like there's a few states where somebody was saying Florida is loaded, that they're not having any issues at all, which seems odd because they got gators chomping around and stuff, and pythons and everything else. I would think that they'd be totally destroying eggs, but well, that might be even a good example there because Florida has tons of people too, so maybe it's not a people problem either. It's just I don't know, but for the most part, it seemed like everybody else was seeing the same thing. The numbers were drastically down in most places.
You guys all did a very, 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 very good job on sending us photos and stories because I have like over 10 or 11 pages on a Google Doc of stories from all of you guys. And then it's taken me this long, but you can send them in. But the groups of people that have already sent theirs in will be going on the wall in a special, I'm thinking I'm going to put you guys all together, and then everybody else after that doesn't get to be as special as those ones in that little area because you guys were the OGs.
Maybe each week when we put one of them on there, we should feature their story.
I already said that I was going to do that.
Well, you better make sure they want us to read the story too. So
I think it's been pretty clear that I've been
story.
asking you guys so that I can read them on the podcast.
Well, I might need to read them because we know you have a hard time reading.
I meant to do that.
I'm going to share them, so I hope that's okay. Because you already knew that. I don't know why
you sent one in
confused.
and you don't want us to share it, you better let them know.
All the ones I've read, I think were share-worthy.
They've all been great.
They've all been great stories.
They've been really
There
cool.
hasn't been anything that anyone would be like, oh, I don't know that I would want someone. No one has sent one and said, I was hunting this spot and the deer was on the wrong side of the fence, but I went ahead and shot him, and so I recovered him on the neighbors.
It could just be personal, is what I'm saying.
Yeah. Well,
that's all.
They've all been good.
I'm a very personal person. I may
no,
say
you are
something
not. Not even.
Can I introduce our topic?
Private.
Oh,
that's what I'm saying.
I see what you're
I don't know why
saying. Yeah,
people...
go ahead. I thought he was trying to say that he understands feelings and like keeping things to yourself. Like he doesn't.
I appreciate when you keep.
Oh, I hate your warmth cues.
Because we don't want to hear it.
Go on.
Okay. All right, guys. So enough of the lovey-dovey, or I'm not sure what that was, but
it was a warmth cue. That's what it is. I read a book on cues.
It was
suck,
weird.
Man. They are weird.
See, you can't even. There you go. That's what happens.
No, we're using them too much. That's what it is. They're supposed to be special.
They are special.
Okay, go on. Introduce
All
our
right.
podcast.
So today we're going to talk about something that Warren and I just talked about on another podcast. So if you guys haven't checked out the Eastmans Hunting Journal, they have several podcasts that they offer. Good friends of ours over there. We sat down with them. The topic that we came up with wasn't really our topic there, but it turned into one, and we thought it would be a good one to share with you guys, and that is, how do you know how hard is too hard? And how do you know when you're pushing too hard? Can you push too hard? Can you set your sights too high? But I think if we just leave it as, how do you know how hard to push?
How many times are you going to say it?
This segment was brought to you by Viagra.
Here you go. You guys are going to have to cancel. You're going to have to make him do all kinds of editing work.
Goodness. Think about what you're saying.
We're going to get canceled. We're going to get. I can't wait till we get canceled because it really helped Morgan.
How hard is too hard? How hard do I need to push? Am I pushing too hard?
Kids these days, they turn everything into sex.
At least I'd hope not.
All right.
You might be able to.
Okay.
How would you like to describe this podcast then, there, smartass?
Well, I like the way you described it. I think is what we were talking about is how do you know if you're trying too hard or not? And then is that working against you? So how do you put in a level of effort into something that's going to yield results and without putting in too much effort, but also not being lazy? Because we all agree you can't just go.
Can't kill them on the couch.
Yeah, the best example for this is me trying to find an 80-inch antler. If I go and if I don't go shed hunting, I'm obviously not going to find an 80-inch antler. If I walk 5 miles, my chances of finding an 80-inch antler is much lower than if I walk 500 miles. However, I've been walking around 300 miles, and it's not working either. And Eli goes last year, and he probably did flip and walk 5 miles and manages to find an 8-inch antler off of a deer that he's never seen. It was old, but he's like, oh, there's a shed, and he picks it up. I think that might have been like the only, did they find 3 that day, or was that the only one they found?
He will also tell you, he's like, man, I'm not that great at shed hunting.
Yeah, so he doesn't even hardly go. But then I kind of get him, I think, a little bit excited, and so he goes, and then he finds an 80-inch antler. And so where I think this was getting interesting is because we started having this discussion, and when you really sit back and you kind of look at it, Dad, as we've talked about before, he loves elk hunting, but you definitely love deer hunting more.
For sure.
And then, but you're really good at killing elk. And I think part of that could be because you don't have you're not as concerned if you don't kill an elk. Where if you didn't kill a big deer, that would really eat at you. Yeah,
sure.
It would.
I think you just gave me my answer for coyote hunting.
You're trying too hard.
I don't care. I don't even want to go.
Sure.
I really don't even want to coyote hunt anymore. I might go, but probably not going to care. Maybe that'll work.
Well, so I think is what we're trying to figure out is why is there any kind of science to this? Does any of this make any sense of why that could be? What makes that? My theory would be that I think that when you're so over invested into it that you start making bad decisions.
Overthinking.
Yeah,
like as in you're second guessing yourself, or you're giving yourself another option that you didn't need to give yourself, or versus just trusting your instincts or your gut. I think. I don't know.
Well, that's a question. I think that for me, like I probably would have been way better off spending half of the time that I did walking the places that I did and double the amount of time in places where I knew there was more deer and more antlers, instead of trying to explore stuff, hoping that I was going to find a random antler.
I don't know, because I think it goes both ways. There's certain things, like for obviously, like yours with the antler, trying to find an 80, me just trying to break over the 170 mark for a deer. I know that sounds crazy to some. Everybody, I'm going to get all kinds of crap for saying that, but we do live in Iowa, so we're a little spoiled. Coyotes is another one for me. That one I think is flat out, I'm learning a lot of different things.
Yeah, you're like, so young in that's hard to be able to say that's.
But like turkeys, I love turkey hunting, and that's one that doesn't. I mean, until it gets later in the season, then it's like you're gonna have to work your freaking butt off or get super lucky. But other than that, like, I absolutely love it, and I'm trying to do it for like help others, myself, and stuff, and we have success. So that one is the opposite. I do care a lot, and it does play out. Deer, I care a crap load.
Could you say though that maybe could you say maybe you still weren't working hard enough? Maybe instead of doing whatever you did, you needed to go and get 5 more places. And
for deer,
yeah, that maybe the answer is more. Maybe I should be doing that instead of me just trying to get permission on a whole bunch of places and going shed hunting. I need to be trying to do find places where I know that there's a big deer and nobody else can walk it, and be trying to get permission on those.
Well, that yours, I would say yes, because if you think about it, the chances of you just stumbling across an 80-inch shed on something that you have no idea versus spreading yourself out to do some scouting to try to find a couple, like, okay, I know there's at least some big boys in this spot or this spot. I'm pretty sure there's big deer over here. I don't know how big, but big deer. You'd probably save yourself a heck of a lot of time.
Well, that has been the problem for me, though, is that
you don't like to scout.
No, I don't want to. I don't want to know he's there.
Okay, well that's your own issue. That is your own fault to like that. That is
to
dumb.
walk up on a random 80 would be the coolest thing ever. If I know he's there, then it kind of ruins it.
Walking up on an 80 that you do know would not be any less.
That is not working though, is it?
Oh yeah.
Well, so far no.
Exactly.
But we have ones that we've known and we haven't found those either.
No, it is. Yeah, but it's not like you've actually gone out to try to find specific multiple deer that you got options for to try to go find their 80. How many of your buddies that you're talking to that are finding 80-inch sheds have seen those deer before they went in there?
Well, most of them haven't.
No, the one I'm thinking of waits till they drop. Both of the ones.
Totsky?
Yeah.
Yeah, he found 2 this year though that he didn't know.
Yeah, but that dude is the same one that has found so many 80s that
Yeah, he's found a
watches them
bunch.
until he has a good idea when they drop.
Yes, he
And
does.
Same
he
with
does
the other
watch
one.
quite a few, but he's
that
also found some that he has no idea that they were there.
Yeah, but he has a great idea after he's found some in there because he knows there's probably going to be more.
Yeah, well, I'm sure.
And the one here.
He didn't
City
know
boy
those.
here. That one he didn't know, but there is other ones that you have even said, like, he's freaking watching them.
He knows the area there where he knows that there's deer with 80-inch sides.
There's a big leg up versus I just want to randomly walk through a field.
Let me ask you this question. How long has it been a goal really to find an 80-inch? I feel like it's only been like a couple years.
At least 4.
So we started recognizing that. You think it's been 4?
I know it's been at least 4 because last year he did not get permission, like try to go get permission. I guess you could count this year, but I'm not counting this year. So last year was one year that he was all about it. The year before that was when Warren was a writing fool and got himself lots of permission. And then the year before that was when he was really wanting to find an 80. And it could go a year before that, but I think you have those 3. Because the first year he was like, I don't know what else to do. I've walked so much. Next year I've got a plan. And then he wrote like 150 letters to try to get permission and got a lot of permission.
I mailed 150 letters that year.
Right.
And then he did.
That was 2 years ago, wasn't it? Or he's saying it's 3?
No, that was 2 years ago. Because he had the one year where he was like all about an 80 and it didn't work. So he's like, next year I'm going to go write letters. And his plan for writing letters worked. Got a lot of permission to shed hunt. His plan for finding the 80 did not work even a little bit.
Okay,
well, my theory was that if I had a few additional places that I'd gotten permission on to hunt or to shed hunt the year before that. So then I figured if I basically 10x'd the amount of places that I could walk, I could pick out the best looking places of those, and that if I could walk until my legs fell off.
This is the same year he read the book, The 10 Times Rule, too, isn't it?
Oh, I still do that stuff.
So he pretends.
It's a 10x rule.
Okay, so here's my question, though. Are you better off in this particular situation? Are you better off shed hunting, as much property as possible, or are you better off having less property and walking it more thoroughly?
Well, it ain't going to matter if you're walking it thoroughly if it ain't there.
My point is, you could walk the same amount of miles. Which one constitutes better
it's
better
a
results?
Quantity or quality. I will take the less land that I have done that I know where the deer is, or I know where there's some large deer, versus having a ton of land that I don't know anything about.
I think it would.
That's not my question. That's a different. You answered something else.
Well, those two don't go together.
Well, I think.
Yeah, no. What I'm saying is it consistently, because you can apply that to the same thing, meaning you're trying to kill a 170-inch deer. Okay, so do you focus on one deer and try to kill that particular deer, or do you try to have multiples to pick from and say, okay, I'm going to kind of go in and shotgun approach these, kind of scatter. Whenever wind is right, I'll be here. Whenever this is here, I'll be here. There's different ways of doing that. And all I'm saying is someone else could be applying that same thing. It might not be a 170-inch deer. It might be a 120-inch deer. So, I mean, so my question is, do you think that you get better results out of you walk the same amount of miles, but you walk, instead of randomly walking, you're walking a piece more thoroughly, saying, okay, I'm going to cover this piece of ground just like where there can't be anything left. I've got it all.
I don't think that would help me that much, because I think that basically is what I typically do is I'll walk until I find an antler or two, and then I do walk it in that manner where I walk it very super thorough. But I think that if I take what I believe that you're trying to say, if I would spend more time and walk less ground on places where I knew the quality was better, then yeah, because the only thing I'm taking into consideration is the competition factor. I deal with a lot of the stuff that I have permission on. There's other people that can walk it. So it's not like I'm the only person. And so it wouldn't necessarily do me that much good to triple down on it if there's already been
other people
another
walking.
2-3 people that went through it.
Well, that's what I was saying, the quality over quantity. Because if you just, I mean, if you think about how you're asking that, any logical person is going to take the more land, because if you're taking some spot that you have less land and you are going to walk it more thoroughly versus more land you're going to walk, it doesn't make sense to do the land that if you walked it once and there ain't an 80, you can walk it again and there probably ain't going to be an 80, and you can walk it 3 or 4 or 5 more times and there still probably ain't going to be an 80. So you might as well take the more land.
I think I'm at a point now where I could tell you that I believe that I understand what the issue is, and I think you could apply it to all of to a lot of this, and that's just not adjusting quick enough. I knew this year when we went and walked the other day and found those 2 antlers that we weighed on the 170, 71, something like that. For the amount of miles that I'll walk on stuff that we can hunt, that we have exclusive permission on, or leased or whatever, we almost on every place we'll probably find at least 1 or 2 antlers that are 60 or better. Typically, every year we're finding at least 2 or 3 70s. For me to find a 70 on the other stuff that I'm walking, my math so far is it takes me about 100 miles. I have to walk about 100 miles to guarantee myself 170 on any of the permission stuff. So now is what I was thinking this year is what I really need to do is figure out some way to try to get permission on stuff that nobody else has permission on. And I don't know how to do that yet.
A lot of money, man. Money does everything for you.
All right, so let's get back to our original question then. Do you think that that how hard you're pushing to try to find that 80 is in getting in the way, or do you think it's getting you closer?
Now I think it's getting me closer when I step back and look at it, and it gets me closer if I adjust.
Okay.
What I'm doing, it could take 10 years. Like I'm really, really hoping for a.
Well, I think the same would apply, like Easton, when you're talking about coyotes. If you step back and look at it, you have so much to learn. You're getting closer to killing them and killing one. And once it's like anything that you start hunting. There wasn't always a day when I killed turkeys like I kill turkeys. There wasn't always a day when I killed whitetails like I kill whitetails. Yeah. Part of it is where we live. Part of it is learning. I mean, there was as many turkeys in Virginia when I was growing up as there is here. And, I just had to figure it out. Once you figure it out, then you can start to apply it. So I think that there is a fine line between pushing too hard or your expectations may get out of line. And I think that some of that is the technology of today, and that we're seeing what you see on social media now during turkey season. You see everyone's success. You see during deer season, you see everyone's success. There's Iowa or Trophy Bucks of Iowa is a perfect example. It lights up, man, when deer season's in, and you're seeing success. We should start a page that is, we ain't killed nothing in a week, and post another picture of sitting in a tree.
Yeah, that's what people tell you sunset photos are. Well, I think now that I'm thinking about this, though, is the only situation this doesn't apply to is your situation. And now is what I'm thinking is when you go insane and you start just going absolutely over the top on how hard you're working, I think it clouds your ability to have good judgment. And then it becomes a pride thing of you don't want to admit you were wrong. Because if I take or admit that task may not be achievable in the way that you're doing it, or it could be, but it could take God knows how long.
Yeah.
And what I'm saying is if you apply this to you with deer, last year's the best example. You could have had opportunities to chase a deer that was 170 inches or better. But you were so devout on only doing it on one place that you limited your ability to actually do that.
Well, I think I was going to touch on that, and because I think one of the biggest things that I've learned from you, and I agree with it. I've taken it too far, though. I think is the issue is that, like for instance, when you live in a place like Montana, or you live in a Western state, or I'm sure there's other ones that are not Western, but my point is when you can hunt multiple animals at once For instance, like if you have an antelope tag, a mule deer tag, a whitetail tag, and there's overlapping seasons in there. You can go out and say, hey, I'm going to go hunt somewhere where there's all of them. And whatever one comes by or I get close to, I'm going to shoot that one. Great, wonderful. Well, the whole thing of focusing, like instead of trying to go out with 2 or 3 different tags and try to do this and try to just get one of them, focus on the one, get it done, and then go to the next one. Like pick the one out that you really want to do first, get it done, or do everything you can to get it done, and don't distract yourself. Well, I've taken that and gone from, okay, I might know of 4, 5, 6 different deer that are shooters on this, but then I feel as though, like what you're saying, hey, I'm going to take the win when it's good on this day, and I'm going to go hunt this one. When it's good on this day, I'm going to go hunt this one. I feel like I'm spreading out. I feel like I'm distracting myself, you know what I mean? And so I've just, it's bad to the point, I mean, it's not bad, but it's to the point where I am like that, where I'm like, okay, I know there's one here. I'm not diverting from this. I will not get distracted. I will focus on this, and I will focus on this until I get it done. And that's the issue with it, is I think there's a difference when you're trying to hunt multiple different things and not being distracted and saying, hey, there's 4 bucks here. Hunt this one on this wind, or this one or hunt the majority of them when you have a good wind for any of them. And then when you start to get closer to one, then focus on him. Then you're okay, I just made a move that I saw him do this or that. It's time now. I'm focusing on him, and he ain't going to get out of it. So I think that's where my issues have come into play, where I've tried to be too focused on one or two kind of thing.
Yeah, I'm wondering, like, let's say that you had a mule deer tag and an elk tag in your pocket, and you say, I'm going to focus on just the mule deer.
And an elk walks by.
And you got a 300-inch bull with no cows screaming his head off below you. Is it smart to be focusing on the mule deer, or do you go blow one call and shoot that sucker?
Well, I think that one is situational, but you got to shoot him. I mean, you got to go call to him.
I'm not focusing, you know what I'm saying?
But that's different than when you're getting laid out an opportunity that's could be, you've got, I mean, if he's bugling right there and you don't know what the heck he's doing, well, how long do you think you have until he's moving on to doing something else? If he's trying to find cows or whatever else, you probably don't have very much time anyways. You could have never guessed that I'm going to go mule deer hunt and happen to have a 300-inch bull bugling below me versus I'm going to go to this spot because there's both, or there's all 3. So I'm going to walk through the woods, and I'm going to throw out an elk call here. I'm going to stalk over here and see if there's a mule deer over this one, or maybe call to an elk over here every once in a while. Like that's the point. It's not of
the random scenario that just falls in your lap.
Is like, hey, here you go. You've been a good man today.
I think there was probably 2 or 3 times in Colorado this year that if I'd had an elk tag in my pocket, we could have easily gone and killed an elk while we were hunting. But I was focused.
But I do think that focusing...
You didn't have a choice.
This is true.
But I think focusing on one task at hand and going after that task is kind of what we're talking about. That you can you get so dialed in though that you're pushing, and that you're just not. You're getting in your own way. Here's the thing. Here's something that I would tell people that I learned a long time ago, and this is not going to be for everyone, but it is for me. I can get about 4 days. 4 days of mentally and physically hunting elk hard, as hard as I hunt them, and I need a break. And someone might be able to go 7 days, someone else might only be able to go 2. But 4 days for me, 4 solid days of 4:30 in the morning or 3:30 or whatever it is until 9 o'clock at night, and I'm exhausted at the end of 4 days to where I need, and I'm not a napper, so I don't catch up in the middle of the day. So what I need to do at the end of the 4 days is on the 5th day, I sleep in. And it might only be an hour or 2. It might only be, instead of getting up at 3:30 to go somewhere else, I'm up at 6. But that extra sleep, that extra, okay, I'm ready to go again, and it just like completely revitalizes you.
So basically, we're saying that you're not impairing your judgment by giving yourself a little bit of time to relax, to think about it. Like maybe if I would let off the gas a little bit on trying to find antler and kind of look at, hey, what have my results been?
Right.
And now what do I need to do to adjust this? So maybe it's not necessarily the level of working hard unless you're working so hard that you can't see straight. And it means that, like your nose is just down and you are just going, your nose is down. And so you're not putting up your head and being like, oh, I'm harvesting a field that's got no crop. That was really freaking good.
I'm glad you impressed yourself. Here's how I can tell you that
John Deere's going to try and trademark that shit, and I'm going to charge him.
How I found what I'm talking about, and that is, so one day I'm hunting elk, and I don't remember who it was with, but anyhow, bulls like you're talking about, bulls bugling, but I'm elk hunting, right? And I know where this elk is, and it's not, they never seem to bugle in the easy spot. I got to get to them. And the easiest way is go straight at them. But that's not the right way because the wind was blowing a certain direction. So instead of making the loop that I needed to make, I cut straight across. Why did I do that? I did that because I was tired. I did that because I was like, okay, I can get away with it this time. I'm just going to push my way on. I did what I knew wasn't right because I was mentally and physically exhausted. And so once I realized that, hey, I'm now starting to make mistakes throughout the day, that I need to back off. I need to get off the gas pedal a little bit and rethink this and get this clear. And I can tell you, if you're a hunter and you go anywhere, especially if it's an out-of-state hunt, you got 5 days or 7 days or whatever. You got a limited amount of time. Last thing that you're going to want to do is sleep in one morning or get out of the tree a little bit early. Because I've done it that way too. I've been in a tree stand before, wind's not blowing the direction that I wanted to. Just stay because but then honestly, what you should probably do is back out. You do that sometimes with whitetail deer. I know that you and Alyssa end up at the hitching post eating breakfast.
That's because he just doesn't want to sit any longer.
Yeah, but my point is sometimes that's the right thing to do.
Eli and I did that on BG this year.
Yeah. Well, you guys did that. It didn't make sense to go in.
That's what I'm talking about. But he was fresh enough to say, "Don't push this."
Yeah.
Had you been hunting him for a week and the neighbor was on the deer too, all of a sudden your thought process changes a little bit, or you got like where you were when deer season had drug on for a long time. All of a sudden you're faced with the same thing that Warren was faced with, and you're 21 days into the season. You're probably going to say, "We're going to make it to that tree. We're going to just take our chances and push on and try to get to that tree."
And then you bust them out.
And I'm not picking on, I'm saying you as in anyone in that situation, where if you back off a little bit and say, let me take a breath here, let me do something that's not pushing like this.
The only time I've done that, it burned me so hard it's not even funny. So I'm all right.
When?
This year. I was totally chill as a cucumber. Was going into my season so positive, open to many deer. The one shows up that I'm like, I thought he was dead, and he shows up. I know exactly what this deer is doing, but I'm going to wait. I'm going to do it on the right terms and in the right time, and I'm going to get in there, and I'm going to have to be in there a few times to do it right. Psych!
I wonder, do you ever question yourself with elk, really?
Oh, yeah. Yes, there's times when you mean...
It just seems like when we're elk hunting, though, you're pretty confident on what we're going to do.
No, I think there's times when, it's... I don't... See, to me, to kill an elk, it's time. It's time kills them. They're as much as they're unpredictable, they're very predictable. And that's what I like. And
so you are confident.
I'm super confident because I know that one of two things one thing that they do that a whitetail deer does not do is they give away their location 99% of the time. If I'm hunting a place and a bull bugles, I know where he is. Knowing where he is and then knowing what to do is 75% of the game.
So the only thing I'm trying to put together here is I'm trying to figure this out in my mind because whitetails, you question yourself.
Oh yeah, I have
a lot.
Too many opportunities, too many, and that's probably the difference between when I'm elk hunting. Typically, you have one thing to work with.
Meaning one bull.
One bull. I don't have five.
Herd.
Yeah, I don't have five. If I have 5 bulls bugling, they're all together.
But
it's
usually
satellite
you're chasing
bulls.
one buck.
Not necessarily. I do the same thing that we were just talking about, where I got multiple deer. Okay, I can go hunt this one. I could go hunt this one.
Most of the time you're chasing one, like base drop or juice.
Yeah, but when I do that, I seem to be more effective. I seem to have accomplished that. Where like this year, I was
should be
all over the
focusing
place.
is what you're
I would
saying.
agree with you on that. But the only thing I'm questioning is that you will question where to go for base drop. You're like, well, base drop isn't a good example because there wasn't that many places you could hunt it.
Could go.
Mr. Liss.
Juice was a good example because Juice, you're like, I don't know if I go this stand or that stand or this stand because he could show up at any of them. And then you do the same thing to us anytime, especially when I'm taking Alyssa. You should go to this one. And I say, okay. And then I'm driving there. Hey, you know what? You should go to that one.
Yeah, you do. You're the sole reason why I bought dice as a kid. Die as a kid. I don't know what I hate that stupid crap. It doesn't sound right, so I'm saying dice. Yeah, I used to have dice in my pocket as a kid because freaking picking a tree stand as a kid was the most stressful thing in my life, which sounds awful. But when you have David sitting there like really helping you, hey, man, we've got these 3 stands right here. I'm not going to lie to you. This is the spot we need to be in. We need to be here, and we're going to see a big deer. We're going to see one of these shooters. And as a 12-year-old, you follow your father. Or a 13-year-old, you're still before your teens where you're saying, screw you, you don't know what you're talking about. So I'm following. And 2 minutes later, I think that deer might be in the other stand. I think it might be. No, we should go. We should stick to it. We should go to this one. And you could even start walking. No, let's just keep going. There's another one down here, a different stand down here that's going to be the right spot. And it is freaking ridiculous. So I would take dice, and I would only allow him to give me 3 options, which was difficult for him. And then I would give them like 1 through 2, 3 through 4, or 3 and 4, 5 and 6, and then roll the dice. Whichever one hit. And that's where we went.
That's a great hack, though, because like I'll do that. I'll try to decide between 2 places, and I'll flip a quarter, and this one's heads, this one's tails. And then 9 times out of 10, at least for me, whichever one it told me to go to.
You don't want to go to.
I don't want to go there.
Yeah.
Like I'll do that to the waitress, like, should I get the chicken avocado club or this burger? And she'll be like, oh, the chicken. I'm like, yeah, I want the burger.
Let me ask this: if on your dice, have you ever rolled your dice and killed your deer?
Yeah, I was just gonna say one that I have.
Which one?
Touch.
Yeah.
You guys, we knew he was all around, and we had it was the south stand, and then I want to say it was Warren's stand or something because he'd been going back and forth. Or no, I think it was the south stand and the one across from that.
Yeah, probably.
Where I shot my 10.
Oh yeah.
And we couldn't decide, so I just threw my dice down, and me and Warren said, "All right, let's go." So shot him that night.
So you think on the elk then that it's because I guess when you really do compare them to whitetail, typically there's not near as many options for the approach.
Correct. You have to you focus on what you have at hand.
Yeah, like what
Forces
the
me
terrain's
to,
giving you.
Right. I don't have 3 different options to go to, and which way is the wind blowing, and so I have one option. Now just go get it done. I definitely think that is part of it.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing. I think that this is the whole thing that we were talking about. Maybe we didn't even realize it. We were talking about during the rut, taking a vacation during those 10 days or those 5 days when it's November 6th through the 11th or something like that, is not because you shouldn't be hunting, but because it would allow you to make fresh decisions. If you weren't super exhausted, you'd be like, I know I have the 15th through the 20th is going to be probably one of the best windows to kill a big deer, and so you're not going to be stressed over it. Where when you've already been hunting for 30 days straight, it's like, oh my gosh, this should be happening this today. And so then you start getting going a little crazy and making some decisions that may not be always the best decisions.
I didn't have those this year.
No, you did pretty good. Yeah, and then you
what crazy decisions did I come up with this year? I was pretty much just riding the wave that was not waving very well.
Yeah, I don't know how you managed to get that lucky. Because, I mean, shoot, if I hadn't gone...
Unlucky or lucky?
Well, both. Because the fact that... I mean, if you think about the fact that I went to go get that camera and bumped a deer out of there and then see that it's a big deer and...
180 at least.
There could have been. You still shot him. He was a shooter. That's what I said. Was a shooter.
No, you did not.
I did.
saw a huge deer. He was a big deer. We'll give him that.
We don't know that it was the same buck.
Okay, we'll go with it. Anyways,
It's about this wide.
yeah, Warren played a fishing role there.
He did look really big.
You know, everybody wants to schedule a trip, right? Though that's a legit thing.
What do you mean?
We're gonna have like a raised hunting trip probably to Mexico on the rut during the rut. Everybody liked that idea, so I told some of them that we're just gonna
be awesome.
we're gonna plan a raised hunting trip, and they said they'd go.
That'd be
So
awesome. We'll book out a whole resort, have a couple hundred deer hunters all there
In Mexico,
We'll have therapists, that help you get over
this is
help
a
you
good
get over
idea.
your target buck.
Yeah. Holy
No,
crap.
We'll have a
No
grief
checking your
room.
phones,
Dude,
to see
every
what's being
wife-
killed or nothing like that.
Every wife is paying and sending their husband.
Yes.
Go, get your mind right, honey.
We'll have a grief room for the guys whose target bucks just got killed.
Oh,
and
I'd be in that one.
get through it.
Oh, that's funny.
I like that idea.
Yep.
That would be fun.
I'm not kidding. A lot of them actually said that they really like that idea and they would consider going.
That's a
But
You might have to
but
do that, go
here's what
fishing.
but here's the problem with that is, and this goes to what you've said is why you won't sit all day, because you don't want to make something that you enjoy not enjoyable anymore. The one thing about the rut, even if I'm not seeing the buck that I'm after, it's fun.
yeah.
It's fun to sit in a stand and hear burr, 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 and you don't know what, or hear two bucks come together and, oh boy, what's going on? Or that doe that comes just charging by and you know what's behind her is a buck and you can't see what it is yet. Typically it turns out to be a spike chasing like crazy, but there's something about that that's a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
That I love hunting the rut for those reasons, and being able to just see a deer doing, even if it's not your target buck, seeing deer do stuff that they don't normally do.
Yeah.
Well, Easton was at a point this year where he didn't care about those deer.
Yeah, I get it. So here, let me ask the final question of it though. Can there be too much? Can you try too hard?
I think
Yeah, I think you
We'll
can
have to
try
see
so
what-
hard that you end up hurting yourself more than you're helping.
I don't believe that you can. The way that I would take this and the way I would see this is that you can't try too hard. However, you have to make sure that you're being aware. And so if you're trying really hard, and what I mean by that is you need to slow down and evaluate your results. If you're trying really, really hard and you're not getting the results that you want, you need to do something different. And that may mean that no matter how devout you are on it or whatever you think, unless it's something that takes a long time horizon to develop, meaning like it's some kind of project or something, maybe your property and you're trying to make it where it's going to grow big deer, you can't really measure that in a year. I would tell you that for me, shed hunting, I would also say that you probably can't really measure that in a year. I would say now I've walked enough and done it enough times that I probably can make the statement that what I'm doing is not working, at least for the goal that I have.
Well,
And
the good part is I think we just identified what you're doing wrong.
I think we did.
We had a good time.
Yeah, this has been really beneficial. Appreciate it.
See, this is what it would look like if you came to our resort in Mexico.
Now, would you like a pina colada on the beach?
We can add a little extra.
Yeah.
All right.
Let's catch a shark.
I think we
Chomp, chomp.
I would
I
shoot that thing.
I think we have. You can push too hard. You can try and get in your own way. That's what you need to recognize is when you are starting to get in your own way.
Yeah, that's the important part. Is you got to know when you're. I think it's okay to go hard, but you got to be able to recognize when you're not paying attention to anything
Right.
going on.
Yeah, when you start to make simple mistakes on purpose, it's time to back off a little bit.
Yep.
Agreed. All right. Anything else? You want to add anything else?
I have a wacky fact.
Okay. So Easton is preparing his buttons here for Warren's wacky fact. I can't believe that he actually has one before we start.
I'm
Well, the one that you missed,
pretty good at pushing.
did you
those
mention
buttons.
the one that the 7 mile an hour? It's 7
No.
pound. It's 7 pounds of pressure on a trigger, so it's very similar.
I thought I did it at the beginning of this.
No,
one,
I think you did it at the front of the other one.
Oh,
We scrapped one before this, guys. We did a really bad job for you.
a A fart moves at 7 miles an hour.
Now I've got to try to react. I was very proud of that one.
He was.
That's
I feel
cool,
as
but
though-
although I was a little disappointed, I feel like it should be coming out a little harder. Like when you push harder, it should get over 10.
Well, you're going to love this wacky fact. Wombats are the only animal whose poop is cube-shaped.
What? That is, you're kidding me.
This is due to how its intestines from the feces. The animals then stack the cubes to mark their territory.
Oh my. That is the all-time best Warren wacky fact of all time. Wombats have square turds that they build their homes out
What's
of.
their butthole look like?
It ain't, that is no chocolate star.
How do you get a square out of a round hole?
You cannot tell me that there is not a God. Okay, you're going to tell me that by some magic chance that wombats are conveniently able to poop a cube that is stackable? You are nuts.
That is freaking awesome.
If I was a pastor, that would be my argument right there.
Do you know what shape wombats poop in? It's a cube. God is real.
Think about that. Not only because there's no way you're stacking round turds. So God had to have made it where
depends on how mushy they are.
They got to be a cube so that the wombats can stack them.
Yeah. That's
It's like a Lego.
Cool. That is so cool.
What does one wombat do when he gets mad? Knock the other one's poop over?
I don't know. I guess they have a turditillion. There's a freaking word. I think I'm thinking tyrannical, but I'm trying to work it into turdianical or something.
What in the world are you talking about?
I don't know. My mind goes off. But here's another one. The heart of a blue whale, the largest animal on Earth, is 5 feet long and it weighs 400 pounds. The whale in total weighs 40,000 pounds. For comparison, an elephant's heart weighs around 30 pounds and a human heart 10 ounces. Now here's another one that I thought was funny in here. Is they put in this that elephants can't jump. And I'm like,
that is freaking hilarious to think about.
Well, look how big they are.
to me, I was like, that is not a wild fact, dude. Of course an elephant can't jump.
I would have not thought of that.
Of course not.
Think about a circus. They freaking go on their hind legs like no issue.
No, if you've ever seen a fat person, you lay them on the ground, they can't get up without using their arms.
That's fair.
That's a turtle.
No, that's also a human.
Yeah, fat people.
Huh? Well, I'm just telling you that I had some buddies when I was younger that used to push each other down and say, okay, now without using your hands, get up, and they couldn't do it.
I can barely do that, and I'm a freaking beanpole.
No, you can roll over and get yourself up. They couldn't do it.
Without my arms?
Without using your arms. And an elephant doesn't have any arms, so I could see them not being able to jump.
Okay. That is an awful
Oh,
argument.
my gosh.
Well, look how big they are.
I agree with that argument. Not that they don't have arms.
Look at this is unbelievable.
What now?
How big is that?
I don't know, but it's a perfect cube.
You could mistake that for a good old chocolate bar. Good Lord.
Wombat
I'm going to order wombat turds for freaking April Fools.
Okay. I think we have taken your guys' time up for today. So thank you guys for listening. We appreciate you. Please continue to drop the reviews. They're doing extremely well. Comment however you wish. And if you have ideas on what you guys want to hear on the podcast, we got a couple of weeks here where we're in between some stuff kind of.
Yes, we need topics. We've got some, but we're trying to do some of the ones you guys have sent recently. We're going to try to bank, use them more seasonal.
We're trying to go timely, with what's going on at the time. So anyhow, well, we sure appreciate you guys. This is the Raised Hunting Crew signing off from our podcast. We're out.
Or the Wombat Poopcast.
I'm going to see if I can order wombat turds.